Hello and welcome to Yerushalmi Berachos, Daf Samach, and that was how to print. We are in the sixth paragraph Berachos, Ketzad Mevarchim, which is all about Hilchos Berachos, and exactly as expected, I said I was going to be talking about Berachos. So let's start with that. Then we'll end with just a little small, almost humorous story about the beef between Babylonians and the Yerushalmites. All right, so this is a very famous Gemara. The Gemara says that Rav Chagai and Rav Yirmiyah went to the stores to examine the weights and measurements, which is a chiyuv d'oraisa to be correct. Kafetz Rav Chagai came and uberach aleim, and he made a bracha. And the Mefarshim bring down, he said, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kishanu savat tzivanu l'saken hamidos v'hamoznaim l'saken hasha'arim. And that's what the Charedim says, that he said. So I'm Rav Yirmiyah, Yeyo Savanata, you did the right thing. Shekol mitzvah tunas bracha. This is the makar. Every mitzvah needs a bracha. Now, let's zoom out for a minute. We do a lot of mitzvahs, and oftentimes we make brachos. We make brachos even on some derabbanans, like Mikra Megillah or Hanukkah. We have what's called the Birchas HaMitzvcos, which is on a mitzvah. We make a bracha before we get married, right? We have Birchas Hanenin, which is things that we do for pleasure, which also might include the after brachas. So the Avut Your Home is the source that really, really brings down a lot of stuff, and some of this stuff overlaps with the Rashba, who was a contemporary of the Rush. Remember, he was a Talmud of the Rush. So a lot of it has to do with the Rashba's famous tshuva about why you make a bracha. For example, do you make a bracha on Kibbut of Aim, or on Tzedakah, or on Ma'akeh, and other stuff like that. Logical mitzvahs. This is way beyond the scope of this conversation, but it's a good Mara Makom, and the Avut Your Home. The Shar HaShlishi is called the Varabo Birchas HaMitzvos Mishpateim, and Ayin Sham, he starts off, Garcina Mitosef to the Brachos, Usa Mitzvah Tzarech Levarech Lefaneh, Uv Yerushalmi Brachos Parak Vav Lach Aleph, which is us. Ma'aseh Mikra, D'chsiv, V'en Lachas, Aluchos, Ha'evan, V'atorah, V'mitzvos. So this is our Gemara, and this is the Makar. Ayin Sham, he has a whole shtickle on, do you say Shechianu and a bris, and why you do make a bracha, why you don't make a bracha. A lot of very, very famous things. For example, very famous thing that for tzedakah, it's not, you don't make a bracha before you give tzedakah usually, because we don't know if the ani is going to accept it, or we don't know if he's really legit. All these different calculations. Most brachos have mitzvos. Then he has a whole conversation. Do you make a bracha on the text Ayin Sham? There's a lot of stuff here. Lecho matzah mor. All these different girsos. What do you say? Talks about why you say it differently. That's what I wanted to say. Baruch Hashem, I remembered. So, if we zoom out, what does the word Baruch Atah Hashem even mean? So I want to say two quick things. One of them is that, what does it mean, Baruch Atah Hashem? I bless you, Hashem. What does that mean? Hashem wants my bracha? Doesn't make any sense. Now, you might say, yeah, but the Gemara in Berachos, Babli says that when Yochanan Kohen Gadol, Yishmael Kohen Gadol went l'fai v'l'fim, Hashem said, Barcheni. Okay, well, that actually is the Makar that they talk about. So the Avut Your Home is, as far as I know, the earliest source that actually says this. He says that the word bracha does not mean you are blessed, Hashem. It means you are the Makar HaBrachos. Baruch comes from the word brecha. You, Hashem, are the spring. You are the source of all brachas. It's an acknowledgement of Hashem. That's what the bracha is. And Yichvashu Rachamecha es Kascha. If you're a parent, you understand this one. May your mercy overcome your anger. Right? That's the ultimate bracha that you give Hashem. That's Hashem. You are the Makar of mercy. May that's what Yishmael B'ni Barcheni is all about. And if you want Mar Makomos, Rabbeinu Bachya al Torah says this exact thing. He says it on Shulchan Shel Arba as well, and also the famous Nefesh HaChaim brings this all down. So these are people that came after, because Rabbeinu Bachya was the Talmud of the Rashba. Maybe they were contemporaries. It's possible, but either way, these are the earliest Makaras in the Avut Your Home, and it's based on this Gemara right here. So you learned it in the Yerushalmi, and the exceptions he talks about at length. There are a couple of mitzvahs that we don't make brachas on, etc. Ayin Sham, it's a very, very large ma'arechet and very, very fascinating. So that is just, again, fascinating when you learn the Yerushalmi. And then the last thing I want to end off is that Rav Yochanan was eating a olive, the Gemara says, and he made a bracha before and after, which according to most Mefarshim means ala eitz. And Rav Chia Barva, who was a Babylonian scholar who had come to Eretz Yisrael to learn under Rav Yochanan, the author of Yerushalmi, mistakelbe, he was staring at him in amazement. So Amar le Rabbi Yochanan, Bavloi lama mistakelbe, why are you staring at me? Leslach kolshu mimin shiva, telling bracha, why are you staring at me? So a lot of the Mefarshim bring down that Rav Chia Barve had come from Babel to Eretz Yisrael, and the Jews of Eretz Yisrael were a little bit disdainful of the Babylonian brothers, and you find this in the Bavli Yuma. Where is that? Samach Vav Beis and Menachos Kuf Amud Aleph, and they're in Pesachim Lamed Dalet Amud Beis, and also in Beta Tes Zayin Amud Aleph, you find that they're called foolish even. So, and this is why Babylonian, just calling him that name, was considered an insult. But anyway, there's always going to be tension between. We mentioned this earlier about the southern and the northern, how people looked at each other. There's Chena Makam al Yoshva, and my pshat is correct, and it's my Torah. So there's always going to be some of that understanding. But the center of Torah learning certainly was Eretz Yisrael, which is why the Talmidim all came to learn under Rav Yochanan, and so he was being put in his place. And everybody knows the famous story that when Rav Scheinberg Zatzal was visiting the Chavetz Chaim, because he was learning there, Chavetz Chaim said to him, "It's amazing that you're an American and you came from so far to learn. But don't worry." He said, "Don't think you came so far, because Moshe Rabbeinu came all the way from Shemayim to give us the Torah." So he kind of put him in his place as well. But the point is that you have to know that you're an American. Rav Wolbe, I heard him say over many times that when he came to Panovich Yeshiva, he was an American. And he says, "I was a spoiled American, and I didn't like my roommate. So I went to speak to Rav Chatzkel to complain that he should move my room. And Rav Chatzkel said to me, 'You're a spoiled American. Get used to it and make it work.'" And so sometimes there's a certain understanding that you came to Eretz Yisrael to learn. So get with the program and understand that life is not always perfect. But anyway, if you're interested, Ayin Sham and Avut Your Home, there's a tremendous amount of wealth of knowledge and Mara Makomos there, but all starts from our Gemara. Have a great day.